All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So, Industrial Dave back with you guys again. And this time, I know we talked about the money and everything and all that stuff in the overtime, but let's get into this. What good is working all the overtime and the money and all that if you can't even get in the union you want to get into? All right. That's what's most important. So, we got a couple of things going on. We're going to kind of jump back and forth a little bit from how you can get in, the best ways, what part of the country you live in. If you're a felon, you got misdemeanors, you got a clean background, you got welding experience, no experience. And most of these keys for this particular episode is going to be based on my background, right? This is what I went through and just part of what I learned from other people, all right? So, let's jump into it, all right? I'm going to go over my notes. So, if you see me looking, that's what I'm doing. All right, so how? How, and who, okay? If you are a felon, all right? You're a felon, you got misdemeanors, no matter the case, if you have if you got gun charges, if you have those other type of charges, we're not gonna say what, right? But if you have if you're a felon and you have things like that on your background, all right, don't get nervous. You still can get in the union, right? Um, the stipulations for getting in the union are pretty much just kind of like a bare minimum, right? Like I said, you have to have your birth certificate, your high school diploma, and you have to have a what is it? What did I say? A birth certificate, a high school diploma. Oh, and a driver's license or ID. Okay. So depending on where you work, now is the catch 22. For example, the union will have a job at a specific refinery, or they'll have a job at a paper mill, your local nuclear power plant. They'll have a job at your brewery, just wherever they have these contracts at, right? So it's not necessarily the union hall that's going to say no, it's the owner, right? So I'll give you an example. If you have a felony, okay, and you're trying to get in at the nuclear plant, they're going to nitpick you. They're going to pin you down. It doesn't mean that you won't get in, but they are going to dive pretty deep into it. Okay. So you have a different type of chance getting that particular job that has nothing to do with the union. Okay. So I want to be real clear on that. Now, there might be another instance where the union hall will dispatch you out to a power plant. Now, a lot of the power plants, not a nuclear plant, but just your gas turbines and your coal fire plants, they're a lot more lenient as far as background checks, as pretty much if you can walk and talk, and pass a urine analysis, right? You'll get the job, okay? So for those of you on the podcast, I said urine analysis and did a quote. I know some of these people can't see me, right? Whatever. So for that particular example, you can get in. Okay. So that's as far as if you got a felons, misdemeanors, all that stuff is a case by case scenario. So again, don't get nervous if you're a felon and you have it doesn't matter what you have. Okay. Just write it down, and just tell the people and don't get discouraged. All right. You can still make six figures as a felon, okay, doing this. I'm telling you, you can. All right. Now, I will back up a little bit as far as how to get in. Okay. So the first example I'm going to give you is if you are at the bottom of the barrel. Okay. When I say bottom of the barrel, you have no experience. You've been working at Mickey D's or wherever, fast food industry or just whatever industry. And you don't have any experience at all. Okay. So let's start from there, from the rock bottom. Again, diploma or a GED will suffice. Birth certificate and ID. Find out which union you want to get in. Like I said before, if you want to get in the iron workers, the boilermakers, the pipe fitters, the carpenters union, your electrical union, the elevator mechanics, whatever, the operators, whichever one you want to get into, you need to call them and find out when will they take applications. Okay, this is key. Find out when they're taking applications. And then specifically for different type of unions, you have to ask when the applications for the apprenticeship, okay? Because some unions will have just regular applications where you can be a helper and they'll put you to work, but you won't be getting the full apprentice wage, and you won't be necessarily, what's the best way that I could put this? You won't be really necessarily in the, like, you'll be in the union, but you won't be bona fide, right? I know that the Boilermakers Hall, they hire helpers, but they're not bona fide apprentices yet. So you want to be real specific with your wording when you call and say, hey, my name is Mike, and I want to find out when will you guys be taking applications for your apprenticeship. Okay, that's key. All right, now two, this is a little tricky, okay? So try to hang with me with this one, okay? You want to try your best to find out how's the work in the area, okay? How's the work in the area and what's the pay like? It might not even be worth it. Some parts of the country, different jobs pay more than others, right? So if you're in a part of the country where, let's say you're in the South, right? And, I'm just giving you the true facts. Union jobs are not really popular in the South, specifically, almost 90% of your states below the Mason Dixon line. They're just not union friendly, right? It's just the way that it's been. Okay. So it's a fact. Your union wages in the South below the Mason Dixon line are, some of them are low, some are lower, okay? But anyways, you might be in a state like that where the pay isn't all that good, but they still have a lot of work, okay? So think about this, okay? If you were to apply at any of those places, what you can do is you can get in, apply, go through the apprenticeship, and then you can move, right? The whole thing is to get your foot in the door, all right? Once you get your foot in the door and you get locked in, you're good. You can move anywhere you want, right? The idea that you have to think about is, how can I get in, all right? If you're somewhere, for example, you're in the boroughs in New York City, right? The pay is extremely well, pretty much some of the highest in the country. There's going to be a long line at all these union halls because everybody knows about them. They know that the jobs pay good, right? So why fight and fight month after month trying to get into a union hall like that, where you could just suck it up and go somewhere where they're hiring all the time and it's the same union, so you can move somewhere in the South, get your hours and all that, for maybe a couple of years or whatever, and then you can move jurisdictions, right? It's this thing, it's called forcing. You can force your book. Some union halls don't like it. They'll give you a they're gonna give you some pushback on it. Some will, some won't, but you can push your way into the union hall, right? So what you can do is you get an address of where you want to live and you go to that local union hall and you say, hey, I live in this jurisdiction, I want to transfer my book. All right, now, like I said, they will give you some pushback, and especially if they know that they will. I'm not really recommending that. If you are a top dog welder, or you just a really really good worker, or somebody, it could possibly work out for you that way. All right, so that is a good way that you can get your foot in the door. Okay. Remember, you want to get your foot in the door. That's the whole thing. Do what you can to get in there. All right. Now, this next approach is going to be little bit a little bit different, kind of on the same side. All right. So if you don't know anybody, you get the job application. Let's say it's on a random, they're usually always on a random day, okay? So let's say a Wednesday. You get the application for the apprenticeship on a Wednesday, you fill it out, turn it in and all that stuff. And then, of course, you got to call and call. Hey, is there anything? Is there anything? I'm available. I'm available. You can do that. They get hundreds of calls a day, or you can work and show your face at the union hall. You can say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm ready to work." Chances are they're gonna say, "Hey, bub, we ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing." Just get ready for it, right? Get ready to get denied. That's just part of it. And especially, again, if you're trying to get in a union somewhere where the pay's good, you're gonna get denied. That's just part of it, right? Just suck it up. All right. Keep keep bugging them. That's just part of it. Now, the way that I would recommend doing it, okay? Now this is the thing. Basically, you just have to, take this however you want, but if you go there and you start doing work, okay, at the union hall, which you can, all right? The worst thing they're going to say is no. Go sweep some floors, go move some paperwork or whatever, or some of the union halls will even show you, if you come on your own time and you get in the welding booth, right? Well, we're talking about some union halls that have welding, right? If you go there and you start welding on your own time, they pretty much won't have no choice but to take you serious. I promise they will take you serious, right? If you're working a job where you only got to work 8 hours, or even better, if you work at part time, or if you're working at a fast food joint where you don't have to work 8 hours or 10 hours a day, you get to the union halls on your day off, or even if you've got 3 hours left in the day, and go practice. Show up there and say, "Hey, when are your welding classes? I want to learn this. I'm trying to get in a union." It's gonna take some consistency, okay? But they will work with you, right? And the good thing about learning how to weld at the union hall is that if they find out that you start really putting in time, and then you start getting good at it, what they'll do is they'll start testing you, okay? Now, again, it's not gonna come overnight, right? If you're in there practicing day in and day out, it's gonna take some time to get good at welding. It's not easy, okay? That's why they pay us the big bucks. It's just not easy, all right? So you practice, and they will take you serious, all right? So you can do that route. Now, another one that could work out for you is my approach, right? Now, my approach will essentially kind of work in two ways, okay? So I got kind of lucky with mine. The way that I was able to get in the union was because I went to welding school. Now, again, I've got two things about that. I was able to go to welding school because the high school I went to had vocation, okay? They had a vocational school. So for 11th and 12th grade in the morning, I went to the welding school, and then the bus would take me to my high school. So that's how I was able to get in. I went to a Votech in Oklahoma, and I did it for 2 years. So by the time I was a senior and graduated, I already had 2 years of welding experience. So I was able to pass up everybody on the list and get straight in the apprenticeship. I never had to wait. I think I applied in May, and they called me August. They called me sometime in August, and I got indentured like a week later, and they dispatched me about a week later. It was almost instantaneous, but I didn't know anything about it. Okay. So now that I've done this, I know what happened, which was, it's not really a phenomenon, but people don't really get that opportunity. So again, I said there's two parts. So you can catch somebody early while they're in school or in high school, whatever. See what type of vocational schools are around. Now, another way that you can do this, which this is the second part, it's give and take. You're grown, you're gonna have to figure this one out. You can go to welding school. All right. Me personally, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend going to welding school because everything that you're gonna learn in welding school, you might as well go to the field and erase your memory, because it helps, but it doesn't help, but it's not real world experience, okay? It helps a little bit. It gets your foot in the door, all right? That's the best thing that I can tell you about welding school is that it will get your foot in the door, all right? The information that you learn, forget it, right? Just forget it. It gets your foot in the door better than anybody, okay? So, you got to remember though, if you do the welding school thing, you're gonna have to pay for it, right? Most welding schools are gonna be anywhere from 18 to $25,000. That is gonna take you about mm, somewhere between 7 to 12 months, depending on how fast the program is. Might be even shorter, but again, you paid for this, and essentially, if you go to welding school to do this route that I'm telling you, you are essentially paying for a spot. Now, the thing is that because you have the welding experience, you get to put that on the application and they're going to assume that you know how to weld and they'll test you. And chances are you'll probably fail if you've only been in welding school. You're not going to pass a field test. That's a whole nother thing, right? But you have welding quote experience. So you'll pass up everybody off the street, right? And when I say off the street, that's anybody that has no experience, right? So you'll pass them up. What you can do is you do the welding school, you can apply, and then you can get your foot in the door. But again, I don't recommend that because if you get in the apprenticeship, you get put to work, they're gonna teach you how to weld, and that's free 99, all right, versus having to pay and suck up the time to go to welding school. So that's what I would say on someone who has zero experience. Now, for my guys and gals out there who might be non-union or have no idea what the union is, but you have years and years of welding experience, okay? This is something that you can do. It's a give and a take, right? I'm a union guy. I recommend the apprenticeship programs. Okay. The apprenticeship programs are very useful and you learn a lot of good information. Now, if you have been working non union and all these things, you've been in the field for, let's say, 7 to 10 years, you got all your tools. Let's say you know what's going on. You've been on these money jobs and stuff, but you just want to go a little bit higher. You want to get to the next level. You want to get a pension and an annuity and your health benefits and all that stuff paid for. So you want to join the union. Now you are in luck. You have a way better leg in front of all the guys that went to school, all the guys that have no experience because you have physical experience. Now, what you can do is you can go to the union hall and just be honest with them. Tell them, like, hey, my name's Mike. I've been working non union for 15 years or 20, whatever, how many years. And I've been wanting to get in this union and I think I'm ready to do it. They're not going to turn their nose at you and all that stuff. They'll be happy to bring you in. Okay. So you tell them that, and he's going to ask you about your experience. Well, hey, what do you know how to do? You know how to this or that. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Most of the times, if you have been in this industry and you've already been working for 10 years, you really don't want to start at the bottom, which again, that's a little tough. If you've already been in your welding craft for all these years, most guys aren't going to want to go back to the bottom of being an apprentice and all that stuff, right? But it helps. But what you can do is they will give you a challenge test. Okay. So sometimes you can take a challenge test and they'll test you at maybe a fourth year apprentice. Or if you're a welder, what they'll do is they'll give you a handful of welding tests and say, hey, if you can complete these 4 or 5 welding tests by this week, we will bring you in as a full-fledged journeyman, right? So they do that too. So that's a way that you can get in is that you can go down to your local union hall, wherever it is close to your jurisdiction, and say, hey, my name's Mike. I want to join the union. I'm a welder. blah blah blah, and they're gonna say, okay, um, can you weld? You say, yeah. They're gonna ask you what type of welding you do, this and that, and then they'll set you up with a weld test. Now they set you up with that weld test, you better pass, But even if you don't, they won't take you on the spot. But what they'll let you do is they won't discourage you. They'll say, hey, you did really good on the test. It wasn't good enough for us, but we'll let you come and practice until you get it right. Okay. They will do that because the union's best interest is to keep manning the work and making sure that the welders can pass their x-ray for the guys that they are sending out. Okay. So I hope I'm not losing you too much with how to get in. I'm going to look at my notes here so I don't get too far off. Now, let's say you get in the union. Either way, okay? You get in whether you have no experience as an apprentice and you get in the union and you do have experience and they bring you on as a journeyman. Now, your second battle is going, and this is your second battle and can also be your first, depending on how you want to play it. Where's the work at? That's really, really important, right? Where is the work at? How do I find the work? This is something that you can't really Google, okay? You can Google it a little bit, you can Google things and say, like, where's the work? Where's this construction project? Which is, again, that's difficult, right? Because it's very bland. What you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to start talking to guys. I know it sounds super cliche, but this is how this industry works. This industry is a lot of word and mouth. Okay. You're gonna have to get out there and talk to guys and network with them and find out, hey, where are you going after this one? Where are you going after that? Because if you don't know where to go, right? You don't know. And then another thing that guys will do is they'll tell you about all the bad jobs. They're gonna, some of them won't tell you where the good money jobs are. That's your homework. You're gonna have to figure that one out on your own. But what you can do is you have to figure out where the work is. And this can also work in your favor if you don't have any experience, right? I'll give you an example. If you don't have any experience, but you want to get in, and let's say this particular local is building a power plant, all right? Let's say they're building a power plant and their whole union hall is empty, okay? When the union hall is empty, that means the union hall has to get guys from all over the country. They got to get them from anywhere. They don't care where they come from, as long as they're union, they need to man that job. Now, that's good. If that's in your area, that's a good sign because you won't necessarily have to wait a special day. If you find a place that's really, really busy, you can almost walk in there and say, hey, I want to join a union. I do this and I do that. They will pretty much give you a drug test and say, here, come back clean and I can dispatch you tomorrow. It really can work like that, but you got to find where the work is. And then that will also give you a decision on which union you want to join, right? If you are in the Midwest, it would make sense to join the Boilermakers Union because they still have a lot of coal-fired power plants. They do outages faithfully, right? If you are in California, it makes a little bit more sense to be an iron worker, or really in any big city, it would make sense to be an iron worker or a pipe fitter just because they're always doing construction. And of course, I don't want to skip anybody, but I'm talking about my experience. All the trades are important. Let me make that really clear to you guys. All right. All the trades are important. This is going off of my experience. Okay. Don't fire me up, guys. All right. So you can look and see where the work is in your area. All right. Open your door and get out and walk around. Look and see. And you'll notice that they're always building things, right? And especially in these big, just everything's populated, right? There's people everywhere, and everybody's having to go up now. Okay, they're going up and up. They're running out of space, and especially in these big cities, There is work out there, but it's not going to jump in your lap. All right. You're going to have to find out where the work is. And you're also going to have to take the sacrifice to find out and say, you know what? This is what I want to do, but there's no work in this area. I'm going to have to move. And guys do that. You're going to have to get up and make that decision and jump on the fly and relocate. It would be worth it to relocate somewhere that is busy versus staying somewhere and there's no work, right? There might be one or two jobs a year out of this hall, but let's say this hall makes 45 or $48 an hour. What's the point of making $48 an hour when they only have two jobs a year, right? Suck it up. You're gonna win and go move to the hall that's making $34 an hour, but they working all year. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have to figure out that. I cannot tell you everything, okay? That's not what this channel is about. I want to give you gems that you can work with, okay? I'm not gonna just give you all the answers, right? So you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. Now, you have to also think about the haters, okay? There's gonna be haters. Oh, uh, they're dirty, they're this or that. Well, let me tell you something, all right, for the haters. I'm real passionate when it comes to this stuff. AI is it's here, all right? AI is here, is not going nowhere. It's only going to advance. Us blue collar workers and tradesmen, we are safe. I'm going to say that, and I can say that with confidence. Okay. Welding has pretty much been the same since the 1900s. Okay. The early 1900s. The process has not changed. It is complete. The only thing that's changed with welding technology are the machines. You cannot weld any faster than they were welding when they built the Empire State Building, when they built all these beautiful, gorgeous downtowns. It's the same, okay? You can only build scaffolds so fast. You can only pull wires so fast. Building trades is here to stay. All right. We are skilled workers and we ain't going nowhere. This is a safe industry that you can get into. It's recession proof. All right. I don't even have to say anything about what COVID 19 did. You guys saw what happened to the world. It stopped. That's what you think. Let me tell you what didn't stop. The states still need defense. Okay. Every shipyard was still rolling. Okay. Seattle, San Diego, Pascagoula, Mississippi, Newport News, Virginia, Jacksonville, South Carolina, all these places with these shipyards were rolling. Okay. This is a recession proof job. Blue collar workers are doing it. We are the ones that make this happen. All right. You see my lighting? My lighting is good. That's blue collar. Okay. The power has to come from somewhere. Even during the pandemic, where was everybody at? Everybody was at home sucking up all the juice. Somebody got to maintain it. You ever thought about that? Have you? Have you really? Okay. People still got to go to the grocery store. How they get into the grocery store? They ain't walking. They driving their car. Where they going? They going and get gas. Where's the gas coming from? Oh, I don't know. It's coming from the refinery. The refinery has to be maintained. These refineries are massive. There's a refinery in Texas that puts out over 200,000 barrels a day. These jobs are recession proof. Okay. You have to have oil, you got to have power, and you got to have defense. AI is here, but we are safe. Okay. Ain't nobody about to get on no scaffold built by no robot. It's not happening. All right. So if you don't know nothing about nothing, I'm telling you, if this is your first time listening to this channel, and your first introduction to the building trades and the power industry, AI is here. 20%, maybe 10. The rest is right here. The rest is right here, hands on. Okay, I would almost compare it to the beauty shop and the barber shop. You really gonna sit in the chair and let a robot cut your hair? Nah, it's not gonna happen. Okay, there's only certain jobs that robots can do as far as our industry, but this is why we are still succeeding to this day. And another thing that I forgot to tell you that was incredibly crucial to getting in the union